Hey guys, welcome back to the film room. We're covering such an important topic in this video of how to move off the basketball, and what a better place to do it than watching some of the best off-ball movement in the game of basketball with EuroLeague. There's so many tips and tricks that you can pick up from watching these guys play that will elevate your game. So let's jump right into it. The place we're going to start is with post touches, and the reason why is because most people know that when the ball goes into the post, that's when cutting is really important. And the reason why is because on post touches, you're typically either going to get somebody to help, so two people are guarding one, or you're going to get an off-ball defender to get caught staring at the basketball. So let's talk about why those two things are so important. Just by the nature of where the post player is at when the ball goes in, you're naturally going to get defenders turning and staring at the basketball. Now, the reason that one small thing is so important is because when your defender turns and looks at the ball, that's going to open up opportunities for you to cut, and he has no idea where you're at. And the other thing we talked about was when two people guard one. This typically happens when someone goes to double team or fire on the post, and now the ball can get thrown out where the double team came from. And as soon as that happens, the defense has to do something called full rotate, which means they have to scramble and pick up a new man, and that's where cuts like these end up being wide open. And these guys have such an elite understanding of this that they do little things that you might not even notice. Watch how he looks over to the left as he's passing it just to pull number 10 a little bit further over to open up this passing angle. And once you add screening into all of this, it really creates opportunities for you to get easy buckets. As the ball gets thrown into the post, you're going to see this back screen set on the wing, and what the post player is looking at is this help defender right here who gets caught staring in no man's land and gives up this easy backdoor for a layup. But where we're going to spend a lot of our time is with ball screens. Notice how in a ball screen the same thing happens. You get two people guarding one, and you get off-ball defenders that get caught staring at the ball. Now, we're going to spend a lot of our time in ball screens because it's where the majority of great cuts take place. When two people guard one and that big slips out or rolls to the rim, it puts a lot of stress on this person right here who's known as a tag defender to come over and help, or they're going to give up an open shot. This concept is the primary source of the majority of offense that you see in EuroLeague, the NBA, and even in college. So if you're watching this and thinking, I see this happen all the time, it's because this is the way the majority of the world plays basketball now. So for us to have a good understanding of how to cut and when to cut, we have to understand ball screens. When you run a pick and roll and force two people to guard one, there are these defenders back here known as tag defenders that are responsible for making sure the roll man doesn't get easy layups. And the way that they're taught to do this is anytime the ball gets thrown to the roll man, they need to rotate over or tag the roll man to make sure that he doesn't get a shot. But as soon as they do that, that creates these opportunities for you to cut to the basket. So you'll see this exact same situation happen in full speed in this clip. So anytime you're standing in the corner opposite of a ball screen, you need to be prepared for this. Notice how when he comes off of this step up, both of these tag defenders are locked in on this man rolling to the rim, and the low tag has no idea that his man is cutting to the rim for an alley-oop. And by the time you finish this video and the more you watch basketball, you're going to see this happen all the time. Watch on this step-up ball screen that both of these tag defenders are completely locked into the ball and the roll man, and they never see this corner cut. The ball handler ends up throwing it to the wing, but the cut is still open. And it's not just the corner man that's able to cut to the rim. A lot of you have heard the term 45 cut. It comes from situations like this. Step up ball screen, and this top tag man is staring at the ball, and you're going to get this 45-degree angled cut that ends up being a wide open layup. And typically the best time to 45 cut from the wing or the slot is during a cleared side ball screen, and that's where there's no one in the strong side corner. You can see the big man is rolling and the low tag is coming up to help, so this backside plug defender is responsible for two people, and as he sinks to the baseline, that 45 cuts wide open. So as you're working on getting better at this, timing is everything. As he comes off this middle ball screen, both of these defenders are focused in on this roll man, and the 45 cut actually loops underneath the rim and nobody even sees him. So here's the biggest key takeaway that you should get from this video. Anytime there is a ball screen happening and you are opposite the ball on the perimeter, get your eyes to your defender because they're going to tell you exactly what you're supposed to do. And we're going to break that down into two parts. Part number one is you need to get below your defender. What I mean by that is this. Look at the defender in the corner on the top side. If you were to draw a line through his feet, this is where he's at, and the offensive player is below the defender's line. And the reason that's important is because of what we already learned, that when you're below the defender, they can't see you. And it's really hard to guard someone that you can't see. And that isn't just for ball screens, that's in any situation. Anytime that you can get below your defender, it's a great opportunity to cut because they lose vision of you. So you need to be mindful of this all the time when you're on the court. Look at this top side corner. He is below his man, and on this drive, if he were to cut baseline, he'd be wide open. But as soon as the ball handler spins and number 7 stares at the basketball, this 45 cut is wide open because he got behind his defender. And this will work in transition as well. Now, most wings are taught to run to the corner, which I believe in, but as soon as he recognizes that this defender is staring at the ball and he gets below him, he just breaks it off, cuts to the rim, and again, another easy layup. Here are a few more examples of guys just getting below their defender and making great cuts to the rim. And post players, you're able to take advantage of this as well. On middle drives, when you're in the room or the dunker or short corner, you can circle under to the other side of the rim, and it's the same concept as getting below your defender. And this will work against zone defense as well, specifically against 2-3 zone. Oftentimes these wing defenders get caught staring uphill, and so this is your backdoor or cutting area. And the most ideal time to do it is on dribble penetration or if the ball hits the high post. The second part is to follow your defender. Anytime that your defender decides to go and help or rotate, if you're able to react to his movement by cutting to the rim right as he leaves, that's going to open up opportunities. So as soon as this defender goes to help at the high post, follow him by cutting to the rim, and that opens up these looks. And this is why you have to be engaged off the ball. As this step-up screen happens in front of you, focus on this top wing or slot area. As soon as the defender rotates to help on the pick and roll, the offensive player literally follows him right to the rim for a layup. And this same principle works on post touches. As the ball gets thrown into the post, notice on the flight of the ball, this big is rotating and his matchup just follows him and runs straight to the rim, and that's what opens up this dunk. So again, keep your eyes on your matchup. You'll see right here that there's a ball screen that's being set at the top, and this big is going to set a flare screen for his man to the corner. But as soon as his defender goes to help, he literally follows right behind him and gets this wide open dunk. And this works for post players really well because typically your matchup is a rim protector. So as soon as somebody drives to the basket, your guy is usually going over to stop him, and if you can anticipate it, you're going to get really easy buckets. But you do have to have some feel on this read. Here's a good example. On this ball screen, when the big slips, this bottom tag is going to rotate over and help. Now, if you're in the corner and you're a really good shooter, maybe you stay to get a catch and shoot three, or if you feel like your man is late on the tag and he's going to get an easy dunk, you can stay put. Now, the last area we have to cover is off-ball screens because it's equally as important. To start with, if you're the passer in these situations, you should always get your eyes to the screener's defender, because if they don't help and a good screen is set, that's what actually opens up these cuts. And if you're the guy coming off the screen, you should always be looking for opportunities to slip to the rim. So here's a down screen being set for a good shooter, and this defender is worried about getting hit on this screen and giving up a three. And because Marco knows that, he uses it against the defender and slips to the basket and gets an easy layup. And Bellinelli is masterful at doing this. He knows his defender is so afraid of him coming off of a screen to get a three that he's always looking for these opportunities to backdoor, and his teammates know he's going to do it as well. Here's a few more clips of guys using off-ball screens to get open on these cuts to the basket. Cutting off the ball is as much a skill as passing and shooting. It takes a lot of practice. Please don't fall into the trap of thinking you're only effective offensively with the ball in your hands. Thanks for coming through. We'll see you next time in the film room. Hello and welcome to the film room. My name is Austin Macbeth, and today we're going to talk about something that I think is taking over the game of basketball at every level. How are these teams getting these wide open layups and dunks? It's called a 45 cut. We're going to break down where it works, how it works, and what you and your teammates can start doing to create wide open looks like this. The best way to create opportunities to get a 45 cut is we have to make two people guard one. If you're unfamiliar with that term, please make sure you go back and watch What is the Gap Theory, and you can learn all about that concept. But the key to making this work is we need to make the defense have to scramble. The only way you do that is by creating an advantage. So you can see right here, the offensive player drives baseline and forces number 2 to go over and help. Now there's going to be a disadvantage on the backside. Number 0 is now forced to guard the wing and the corner, and most defensive schemes would teach him he has to drop baseline to take away what's called a hammer pass, and that's going to open up this 45 cut from the wing for a wide open layup. Now some of you might be looking at this and saying, this is just a backdoor. It is similar to a backdoor, but it's not the same, because a backdoor works when a defender overplays his matchup, leaving him susceptible to somebody back cutting and getting open. You'll see in both of these clips that the defender is overplaying the wing, trying to deny a pass, and that's what opens up this cut for an easy bucket. When it comes to 45 cutting, we're actually taking advantage of the defender not knowing where his man is at, and that's what creates these backdoors. This angle gives a really good example of what we're talking about. You can see that the defender is staring at the ball as number 10 drives and doesn't realize that his man is backdooring out of the corner. This is a perfect example of a 45 cut. In this play, you're going to see two 45 cuts. The first one comes out of transition. As soon as this defender gets caught staring at the basketball, that opens up the opportunity for 4 to 45 cut. He wasn't open for a shot, so the ball gets kicked out. As he attacks and kicks it out, you get a bad closeout, and that makes two people guard one. All we need to do is get that advantage, force help, and that's going to open up this opportunity for a 45 cut, which is on time. But unfortunately, Zach takes one extra dribble, ends up getting called for a charge. You'll see in this clip that it's almost set up exactly the same. There's an early transition with a ball screen, and as the point guard comes off, two people end up guarding one. But the key to this whole play is that corner defender who gets caught staring at the basketball. That opens up the baseline 45 cut for an easy dunk. This 45 cut comes out of a post touch. As soon as the ball gets thrown in, you're going to recognize this perimeter defender staring at the basketball. As soon as 4 sees his eyes turn, he's going to cut right through the middle of the lane. The post makes a great dump off, and he ends up getting to the free throw line. Hopefully you're starting to see the repetitive nature of how this works. In this particular clip, now you get a middle ball screen, you get two people guarding one, but again, it's the bottom defender that makes this 45 cut available. As he sees the drive and comes over to help, that corner man notices it, takes off for the 45 cut, another easy dunk. Ball screens are a great opportunity to create 45 cuts because naturally you're going to get two people guarding one like you're seeing right here. The ball handler is going to split between his man and the big, and as soon as he gets downhill, that bottom defender has to step over. That's going to open up this corner 45 cut. Here you're going to get a side ball screen, and as 51 comes off, he's going to throw it back to what we call the shake. On this shake action, you get a bad closeout. Cam, I'm sorry you had to see that. But you get two people guarding one, and what you're going to see on this backside is both the bottom defender and the help defender are staring at the basketball, which opens up that seam right there for another beautiful 45 cut. Hopefully you guys are starting to see this before it even happens, because when you're on the court, you've got to be able to react on time to make sure that you're in the right spot when the ball needs to get delivered. On this clip, you've got a reject of a ball screen. He goes baseline. That defender at the bottom, again, has to come over and help. 35 recognizes that. He's already on his way. Easy dump down, another dunk. The thing I like about this clip is that it shows you that this is a reactionary skill. As the offensive player drives baseline and he makes two people guard one, you can actually see right now that the corner man and the slot man both feel like they're open for the 45 cut, and they're both going. There's only one defender on the backside that's not stopping either one, and now the point guard has a decision to throw it to either guy. Offensively, all you have to do is create an advantage, and this stuff works. You'll see right here a bad closeout on the ball, and number 4 sees it and drives baseline, creating the help. Now this read looks a little different because the big is going to come over and rotate, and they're actually doing a really good job of helping the helper on that backside, but they didn't account for the guy who's cutting straight down the middle from the top of the key. This is a really good read, it's good basketball IQ, and a nice layup. As you enjoy this last clip with 245 cuts that leads to a dunk, I just want to encourage you, players, this is something you have to practice and work on when you're on the court. Standing off the ball is not just a time for you to sit there and wait for someone to throw it to you. It's a time for you to be prepared for an opportunity to 45 cut. Especially if you're not a great shooter, this is an opportunity for you to score easy buckets. Coaches, this is something you have to intentionally practice in your practices so that guys can build chemistry. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks for coming through. We'll see you next time in the film room.
In the podcast, Mind the Game by JJ Redick and LeBron James, LeBron describes the slot cut. Now, this is one of the best basketball podcasts you'll find because it details basketball terminology and it goes detailed of how basketball is being played right now. And he talks a lot about the slot cut with the Miami Heat. So here are some examples of that slot cut. So right here, Dwayne Wade's going to catch it on the block. Now watch LeBron James right here. He's at the left slot. He's going to cut right down the middle here through the nail in a slot cut to the middle of the rim right here for a finish. Here's another example right here. Now watch Mario Chalmers. When he comes off this step-up screen, he's driving baseline. LeBron James talked about in his podcast the timing of the slot cut. So you can see he's driving baseline right here. LeBron's at the top of the key. He's going to cut right through the elbow right here to catch it, and then he can finish same foot, same hand. Now watch the timing of this cut. It is so important that the timing lines up right here so he can catch it in stride to finish. Here's another example on a step-up screen right here. Watch LeBron at the top of the key. Once he recognizes the pass is being made right here opposite, he can cut, and it's a great tip pass to LeBron cutting through the top. Now here's another example. D Wade catches it on the block like we saw earlier. LeBron's right here. Watch how he's going to cut through once D Wade takes that dribble to the dots right there so he can cut through the slot, catch it for a slide by finish. Now watch LeBron high right here on that left slot. He's going to cut through because his defender right here is tagging the cutter so he can cut right across in the middle of the paint for a catch and finish. Here's another example right here on this baseline drive. You can see the pass comes from LeBron. Now he's going to start to space out. He recognizes on this baseline drive, he can cut through the middle right here so he can cut through the nail for a catch and finish at the rim.